how's it going?
Hi, I'm so excited to meet y'all.
We were such big fans of the two of you, and we loved just how much you enjoyed the experience. We could tell the two of you were having the best time.
It was such a dream come true. We had so much fun on the show, for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was everything we expected it to be, even though it got cut short. We loved it very much.
Okay, so I know you're super fans, so kind of describe your super fandom because we also are super fans. So what made you watch The Amazing Race? Like, how long have you been watching it? What makes you love the show?
Yeah, so Abby's family watched it before we started dating, but when we started dating at 16, we started watching it, like really locking into it and started looking at it from like the strategy piece. So it was always like we'd get to a challenge and Abby would choose the detour when we were watching it. And she was always right. And we were like, man, Abby's so good at choosing detours. We should actually get on here because we would always do it right. And it just progressed from there. We kept strategizing.
And like James, you said, I think that you applied with your mom. My initial plan was to apply with my brother. And then I was like, yeah, Will would be better. So I pulled the switcheroo too.
I love it. So wait, how many times did you ultimately apply for the show? Is it just kind of a one and done?
Yeah, it was just, we did it once during COVID. So like 2020, we sat on my dad's back porch and just like made a video. We are still rocking our like college gear. And then 2 years later, we got the call and we were sitting in our
It was
apartment.
crazy. And we were about to make a new video. Like, I just get this random New York call and I answered it because I lived in New York for 6 months and was like, maybe someone needs me. And Danny goes, it's Danny from The Amazing Race. And I'm like, oh my gosh, best day ever.
It was like 9 p.m. We were doing our own thing. And I heard a scream from the other side of the apartment. And I thought Abby had like bad news, something terrible.
Oh, no.
But it was great news.
If only you had like a hidden camera set up for that moment. Just say it over and over. I love it. One and done. What a way to do it.
Yeah.
It was so lucky.
It was.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So what was the preparation as a super fan that y'all did kind of going into the show?
Okay, I have to be honest about this part. I think the excitement overtook me.
Hey, at least you're being honest.
I mean, truly, like, okay, did learn to drive stick. And
Okay.
like we used a map a couple of times, but like I almost couldn't even go for a run because I was like, if I prepare too much for this and then it doesn't happen, I will never recover.
Yeah.
And so my like excitement was just peaking so much. I was almost doing anything to kind of keep it at a reasonable level. And then when we did get the call, ironically, like I was so stressed about COVID. I was like, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. We are not leaving this studio apartment. So all the preparation was like rewatching y'all's season, rewatching like, the first episode of all the seasons, the last episode, all those kind of things. So the stationary prepping.
Yeah, it was a lot of rewatching and then a little bit of navigating around Boston, or we just drove around New England to figure something out. And then we were doing a lot of geography practice. So Abby was like sitting in the corner of our apartment just like studying maps.
Hey, it sounds like you made the most of it given the circumstances of the world we were living in at the time. And you guys were great racers. There's no secret about that. Like you guys clearly knew how to run the race. And I think that's why everyone like loved watching the two of you, because you just got it. You understood it.
Your excitement was like contagious.
Yes.
I was so excited for you.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
When you got to the starting line, though, because you are a fan, you guys watch seasons together. When you hear Phil say there are no non-eliminations this season, what's going through your mind in that moment?
I think so. Background on that, I was already so nervous that I was literally about to throw up, and that's not a joke. I was like trying to breathe. I was taking deep breaths. Austin more beside us. And was like, "Will, you can't throw up because then I'm gonna throw up and this is gonna be bad." But so like every additional little like, oh my gosh, that's such a surprise, just sent me that much closer to like passing out on the start line. So it was a lot. It was hard to manage.
But okay, the no non-eliminations was like, oh, stressful, but like you never count on those.
Right.
The scramble was the like.
That was going to be my next question.
Oh my gosh, because we did feel like we knew the show so well, and that just like threw a wrench in all of it. So that one was the real mind-boggling one.
Yeah, any strategy you may have thought you had when you heard it was a scramble is like, oh, let's just rethink everything. Let's see what we need to do now.
Yep.
So what was your like approach to the scramble? Did you like it as racers? Do you think it's something the race should continue doing?
I thought it was a pretty fun start because it was just absolute madness. So like nobody could really, anybody that thought they were going in prepared just showed up, and then we're like, nope, we're not prepared, and you just were all over the place.
And in a sense, I think it benefited us because there was definitely one point where I think we were like second to last. And we showed up to the saw, and I remember it vividly. The cameraman's like, "What place do you think you're in?" And I'm like, "Probably like second or third, probably like 11th."
Yeah.
And so at the saw, we weren't stressed, so we were just like, boop, 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 boop. And I think like had I been stressed, we would have been trying to force it and not been able to do it as quickly. So like ultimately, I think it was really beneficial to us because we didn't panic since we didn't know where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did make you run your pretty much own race almost immediately too, because people were going in different directions, and like it was a good start to try to get some confidence. Even if you didn't do great, if you survived it, we were like, oh, we made it past the first.
All
first
that matters.
that's huge.
Yeah, I would, just knowing like my stress level, I would have been having a nightmare doing the scramble and having no idea
Where everyone
we were, where people were going. Oh my gosh, that would have stressed me out.
Well, because as you continue on through the race, when it becomes more of a normal leg, there's a little bit of confidence when you open the clue box and there's a bunch of clues in there, because then you're like, okay, great, we're towards the top of the pack, breathe for a minute, like don't get too in your head about this. So yeah, I like non-scramble legs, but the scramble's fun to watch.
It was very fun to watch everybody be messy and chaotic.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the mega leg?
I love the mega leg. I thought that actually did us wonders because it was a long enough period of time that was the leg that when we finished, I looked at Will and was like, we're going to be in the finals, because like it didn't start out great, Ducati, but we ended well. And I think it was because we had the day to almost let the excitement and nerve all settle in. And like, frankly, I felt like we were strong enough in challenges that with having 4, I felt like there was enough that was going to happen that we could like make up ground if need be, which need be.
Yeah,
need be. I did not like it as much at the beginning because of Ducati. That thing absolutely kicked me. But I do think it was, like Abby was saying, it was so long by the end of that leg, like all the crazy panic that I'd been dealing with, I think settled down. And so I was finally like, all right, we're racing now. Let's just go out there and make it happen.
I also think it benefits the physical teams because it is a long day and like there's no getting around that. And so I think it helped that we're like young and fit and energetic.
I know that from what I've heard that y'all's mega leg day was a lot longer than ours.
Yeah.
So our mega leg was only about 6 hours in total, including the 1 hour break in the middle. But I heard y'all's was really long.
Yeah.
I think it seemed like it was a range between like 12 hours, and the last team could have been like 15, 16. Like it was a
long day.
That's a long day to be on and trying to like stay focused and patient with each other. And
they also had the self drive on the mega leg, like that would be even.
And it was the first stick shift. So there were just like all sorts of things that were coming into play that leg. Like first stick shift, I remember we got there that morning and I saw that and like I started to panic and was like, okay. Like
they really threw y'all through a loop the first 2 legs of the race, a scramble and a mega leg, and oh god.
Yeah.
Hey, better to go through it.
Well, it's like make them figure it out real fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I know. Well, and I think that's in part, that might be one of the reasons you see teams jump around a lot this season. Like, because there have been a lot of teams that looked like they were really strong and then they fell off. And like, I feel like everybody's just doing that. And maybe it is because they just kind of threw us into the fire.
Yeah.
But I like the variability of, like, there's not like one team that's like, they are going to win. Everybody's kind of either been at the top or been at the bottom. I think that's way more fun to watch.
I agree.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's fun to like kind of be a part of too, because it's not where you're sitting there and you're like, dang, that team's just gonna work us every single time. It's like, oh, could be us today. Who knows?
Yes, yes. So you, towards the end of your race, unfortunately got bad news from Phil. Talk us through what was going on for the two of you during that phone call with Phil.
Yeah, so we had the background on it. We had gotten into the hotel in Amman, and they were doing tons of tests just to make sure everybody was safe. And my test came back inconclusive, and then my next one came back positive. And so we knew that if it was positive, that was the end. Abby's was negative though, so we separated immediately. And so I was in one room, she was in the other. And then we knew that call was coming eventually. And so we were kind of starting to prepare for it, but there's really no way you can prepare for that. So excited, and then to have to like deal with how disappointing that is was tough. And so,
yeah, I mean, I've my goal with all of these interviews has been to not cry through all of them. I'm feeling a little extra emotional today, so I'm gonna try and keep it together. But I think like the call and seeing Phil's face and him saying like your race is over is that moment where it just like slaps you basically. Like, I mean, it's the same way where when you show up on the mat and feels like you're the last team to arrive, I think the difference is like we did 100% know what he was going to say, but like seeing all the teams there gearing up to race on a day that we were supposed to be there, all things considered, like we had earned our spot at that starting line, and then to see everyone and not get to tell them bye and like see Phil, I don't know, I had to keep my eyes on Will the whole time because looking at Phil was like kind of watching the dream slip away. So it was tough for sure. It took a lot to like not do the ugly sob cry for sure.
Hey, you handled it really well, both of you, all things considered. I loved what you said about how the Amazing Race is having to roll with the punches, and this is unfortunately one of those punches. And if anything, I mean, I feel like the show is due for an unfinished business or some sort of returnee season, and I feel like the two of you really solidified your spot there. You as a team, we're really finding your stride. Like your placements were getting great. You were working really well together as a team. I think even Lewis and Michelle, like you both, your teams specifically were finding your stride, and this is where you start to peak in the race. So I think you guys definitely have what it takes to go all the way, and we would love to see you come back on a future season.
Yeah, what a
we really do.
Yes, 100%.
And I have to say, I did love when Lewis and Michelle shouted you out in the episode.
I thought that was so sweet.
Y'all, I could not hold it together. So two things with that. One, actually, when they left the hotel, so like they all came back to the Jordan Hotel, and after that leg that they ran, that we were eliminated. And when they left the next day to catch the flight, Lewis and Derek both yelled out, like, "We love you, Abby and Will." And I woke up, I think it was like at 6 a.m. or whenever it was they left, cried for about 20 minutes and then went back to sleep. Similar situation where it's like, I don't know, that really like touched me that he would be in the middle of a challenge and like even think to say something like that. I thought that was very sweet and really showed off kind of who the cast is this season. I felt like it's a really good group and a supportive group. So that meant a lot.
I loved that moment too, just because I think as a viewer, people don't get a lot of context in terms of how much time you spend with the other teams, and you're going through this experience together. Like, even though our season had a little bit of drama, our cast was so close. Like, to this day, we have a group chat. So seeing that and just the camaraderie with your group, it was just a beautiful moment. So.
Yeah, because you know that it's a competition and everybody wants to win, but not everybody's going to win. So the most wonderful, beautiful thing that from the show is just meeting everybody and building those relationships and having this memory together, because there will never be anybody who understands, and so you just develop this bond that's really special.
Okay, so speaking of relationships, our last question, because I know you guys have to go, what is like the biggest takeaway the two of you as a couple are walking away from this experience with, learning either about each other or individually?
Yeah, I think so. We had known each other for so long. We had this view of like, we balance each other really well. Like, we're going to get in a no matter situation. Like, Abby will be high, I'll be low. I'll be high, Abby will be low. Like, either way, it's going to be okay. To actually get into the race where there's so much stress and panic and like so many opportunities for one partner or the other to figure out what's going on, and the other person to have to jump in and help them, really proved to us that we all this talk that we say that we balance each other, it's actually legitimate. We're there for
Basically,
each other.
we're not full of crap.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. Because we talked about that like all through our audition process, and somebody on social media commented like, cue the team that falls apart and is not balanced. And I was kind of like, maybe we're gonna find it. So I thought it was definitely like confidence instilling in our relationship.
That's amazing. I mean, Amazing Race is notorious for relationships ending.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stressful.
It
It's
is.
like,
Stressful.
fluff come out for sure.
Really stressful. But that's really beautiful that the two of you grew closer, but also like solidified the balance, because I think that happened for us too. We're not all full of crap. Okay, before we go, I want to know what your favorite place y'all went to was. What was your favorite location?
For me, it was Austria. That was first off, that was like the first real leg, because the scramble was what the scramble was, and then Austria was just absolutely gorgeous. There was a point when Abby was sitting there yodeling on top of the hill. I was like, this is just beautiful, all of it. Abby's beautiful, the mountains in the background are beautiful, and then to knock out a dance challenge, which was like gonna be our weakness, and we're gonna try to avoid at all costs. I was pretty proud of that too.
Yeah. Well, and it's also though, and I know we really technically only went to 4 places, but it's hard not to say, Jordan, especially after we did spend about 2 weeks there.
Yeah.
And it was just one that I never expected to go to. Like it had not necessarily been on my bucket list, but I am so grateful that we got to go. And it was beautiful and such a, I would say, overall good experience. Maybe didn't plan to spend 2 weeks there, but
2 weeks in a hotel room. Oh God.
Yeah, it was tough. It went a little crazy.
I'll lean back
out from the window.
Well, we adore the two of you, and I'm sure our paths will cross
I
at
hope
some
so.
point in the near
Yeah,
future.
that's right.
And we
Y'all,
can
it
share
truly
that.
is such a dream to meet y'all. Like James, when you messaged me the day the cast came out, I was losing my mind. I'm like, I probably seem like a crazy person, but because I love y'all.
No, Abby, I had
You're part of the family
when
now.
Race the Love DM'd us too when our season aired, I freaked out. I'd be like, Will, so and so from this season messaged me today, and he'd be like, okay. And I'm like,
I mean, yeah. It's crazy. Like it does not feel real. And then also like I watched the challenge, so I was rooting on the Amazing Race crew. I'm like, oh, it's so fun.
We need more of us out there next time.
Yeah, right. More
For
than
real,
3.
for
Come
real.
on.
Well, thanks. Are you guys? Side note: are you going to Miami for your finale?
Planning on it.
Absolutely.
I'll see you there. He can't
Oh,
make
sweet.
it, but I'll be there.
Well, we'll be excited to meet
Yeah.
you, James.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, y'all have a great rest of your day. And if you ever want to come recap another episode in the future with us, we would love to have you on. Just to have more FaceTime with
Anytime.
the Perfect.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
See y'all.
Thanks,
Thanks so
y'all.
much.